Welcome to The Trader, a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, a writer and Traitors superfan working in TV development. The Trader features deep dives into every English-speaking version of the show, as well as interviews with contestants from various shows. And this season of the podcast is dedicated to UK Series 3, which began on New Year's Day 2025. The Trader had a fantastic 2024 covering seasons 2 of Traitors UK, US, Canada, New Zealand, and various interviews with contestants from some of those seasons. The podcast also hit number 5 on the Spotify Film and TV podcast chart. And we've now hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, which was my New Year's goal if you've been listening to the podcast recently. So thank you everybody who subscribed. Hooray for that. There have been loads of fab co-hosts throughout the year, and that's going to continue with lots of new wonderful co-hosts lined up for this new season of the pod. And you can be part of it too by visiting memo.fm/the Trader podcast and leaving a voice message for the podcast, just like Louise and Scott have done.
Can't wait for the Traitors to start again. It's the healthiest way to enjoy manipulation and lying.
I'm really looking forward to all the new and interesting tasks. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm looking forward to see what the next viral moment could be. How are they going to top Paul couldn't be my son? But Ross is.
Thanks, guys. Again, if you want to send in your thoughts, questions about episode, points you think we should discuss on the pod, you can do that by visiting memo.fm/the Trader podcast, just like Louise and Scott. Today, I'll be recapping and discussing episode 1 of this new season, series 3 of the Traitors UK, and in keeping with tradition, I have a co-host who also guested on the pod with me for debut episodes for UK Series 2, Australia Series 2, US Season 1, a bunch of others. Let's meet them. My co-host is Lindsay Chisholm. Lindsay is a Traitors stan, movie buff, expert on anime and almost any supernatural themed TV show, and she's also my best pal of literal decades. Lindsay, welcome back to the Trader. Woo!
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you excited?
A wee bit.
A wee bit.
Uh,
Do you mean a lot?
I'm super excited. I'm that excited that I've been told not to eat my Smarties.
Are you especially excited to be on the new visual version of the podcast?
Yeah.
And are you excited to lie to me?
Yeah. As
Okay.
always.
Yeah, me too. Now, regular listeners, you will know what I'm talking about, but new listeners, it's time for you to find out all about our game within a podcast about a game. This is the Trader Traitor. The mission for Lindsay and I from here on in is to tell a lie to one another. The lie has to be a complete fabrication, a made-up fact. Could be big or small. Could be about the traitors. Could be about ourselves. Could be about something else completely. For example, I could lie to Lindsay throughout this podcast and say I already know who wins this series of the traitors because I have a secret source at the BBC who is leaking information to me. However, I couldn't lie by saying I don't like a particular contestant when actually I do like them. That would just be a fake opinion. So we're looking for fake facts rather than fake thoughts and feelings. At the end of the episode, Lindsay and I will guess the other's lie. And listeners, you can join into and see how good you are at traitor detecting. Lindsay, are you ready to play the Trader Traitor?
Sure.
Okay, it is time for us to get into our game begins now. Here we go. Episode 1 of the Traitors UK Series 3.
Woo.
The episode begins then with some beautiful shots of Scotland. We've got an owl flying over the landscape. Did you notice the Traitors logo is sort of like in the landscape? It's like in the snow. It's like painted on a fence or something. The little logo's there.
Lie.
It's like it is there. When
No.
I watched the episode twice, and at first I noticed it once, and then when I rewatched it, I noticed actually the little logos everywhere. It's on the ground and stuff like that.
Right, okay,
Anyway,
I'll need to recheck.
uh,
However, I do
yeah,
want to say one thing. It's very magical again. It's very like Harry Potter.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like the stags like running about, and I'm so happy the peacock's back.
Yeah, I wrote that too. That it's very like Hedwig when the owl
Mm.
delivers, like comes back to Claudia and she pulls her red gloves from a big drawer of lots of red gloves. Um, Also, this I should say this now that we'll probably mention other seasons of the Traitors. Like we might refer to the previous season. So if you're listening and you haven't seen the Traitors before, might just be aware that every now and then we might mention a previous player. So this is a spoiler. Skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to hear this. You hear the voice of the winner from the last season. There's like a little voice going, "I'm the greatest traitor in the world." Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't say their name just in case I'm spoiling that. So we've got Claudia. She does a little voiceover. She explains the game for like maybe people who haven't seen the show before. And so it made me think, I wonder if people are joining the Traitors who haven't watched any other series before. What do you think?
Yeah. I think like, well, when I was out and about today, a very popular radio station was talking about it quite a
Hmm.
lot, and I had to skip the channel because I
Okay.
knew it was going to get ruined. So I
Yeah.
think, and there's like people buzzing about talking about it all the time now, so it's getting really, really big.
Yeah. Uh, there's already like overnight viewing figures. We're recording this the day after the episode aired. Apparently, there were 5.1 million viewers overnight,
Wow.
which is a big deal these days in TV. The previous season had 3 million for the first episode, so 5 million for the first episode this time. I'm sure the BBC will be very happy with that. So yeah, I think probably a lot of new people are joining it for the first time as well, because you don't
Mhm.
need to have seen it before to be watching it now.
No.
Uh, and like you said, yeah, there's not some nice shot of the deer running through the landscape and the steam train heading to Hogwarts. I mean, the Traitor's Castle. And then we start to meet our contestants. So the first person we hear from is Lisa. Lisa is an Anglican priest, and she says, murder mysteries need a priest, like Reverend Green from Cluedo. And she then says she's not going to tell anyone. She like pulls off her priest collar. What do you think that's a good idea for her not to tell people she's a priest?
I think nowadays, not really, to be honest. I don't think people are going to think she's going to be like, I don't know. No, no, I don't think it's, no, no,
I don't think she needs to bother. I actually think it would do her a
no,
favor if people think she's a reverend, because I think people will like psychologically think, oh, she's very
she's a faithful.
trustworthy. She's a faithful. So I think it would kind of do her a favor to just tell everyone. I
Hmm.
don't know why she thinks that she should take it off. But anyway, there are a few people this series who are hiding things about themselves, as we'll discuss. Uh,
Hmm.
Freddie appears. He's a politics student. He wants to be the first Black Prime Minister, and we're going to see a lot more of Freddie later on. Don't want to spoil anything. We've got Mina. She's a call center manager. She's a Scouser. She works in a call center.
She's a
Love it.
Scouser.
Yeah, it's my favourites. So I was really excited as soon as she started speaking. We meet Alexander, we've got Fozia, and then we're on the train, and there are two sisters. I'm not surprised that they've done this because a spoiler, last season, it's not really a spoiler. Well, it's a bit of a spoiler. If you've not seen this spoiler, I don't know where you've been. Last season, we had a mother and son pairing on the
Mhm.
show. So I kind of thought they'll probably do like relatives again, or even in season one, we had a couple who were not telling everybody that they were a couple. So we've got Armani and Maya. At this point, actually, I've got already a question that somebody sent in. So Harry Ollie on Instagram sent me a message and he said, "Why are the girls saying they're sisters?" Like he's saying, "Why are they telling everybody?" But they say this themselves. They say, "Well, we're really similar," and
Mhm.
I would think people would be able to tell. I
Mhm.
agree. Like I looked at them and thought, "Oh yeah, you." I think they do look really alike.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think they wouldn't get away with hiding it. Do you think
No, I
that?
think if they were to hide it, they would look more suspicious down the line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it comes out later,
Hmm.
people will be annoyed at them. So I kind of think they're right to just go in and say, yeah, we're sisters.
Yeah.
Can't you tell? Armani says that Maya, who's the younger sister, will get away with murder because she's like the baby and she's quite sweet and innocent. On the other hand, Maya says, oh, Armani likes to take control. I'm just going to let her do that and I'll manipulate things behind the scenes. And of course, as the episode goes on, that's not really what's going to happen at this point.
No,
But hey, we
quite the
briefly
opposite.
meet. some of the others. We've got Joe. He's an English teacher. As a former English teacher, I'm like kind of want to support Joe straight away. We see Francesca, Charlotte, Nathan, Linda, Icon, Leon. There's this character. Well, he's not. He's a real human. I'm calling him a character. There's a person called Tyler. He introduces himself as an old soul. He's a barber. I think he says he's single. He's never had a girlfriend. He likes bird watching. So
Mm,
I think he's
he's
like,
also super duper smiley.
yes, he looks very happy and also very emotional, like in about 5 minutes time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a few
Um,
times.
yeah, he gets upset more than once.
Mm,
We've
bless.
got, I really want to know your thoughts on this person. We've got Leanne, the soldier,
Love
who's
her.
like Barbie assassin, she calls herself.
Absolutely love her.
Okay, why do you love Leanne?
I just think she's amazing. I love how she's come out and she's like, she's not your typical soldier for a start. She's like really pretty, nice wee
Are you saying
figure,
that soldiers are
beautiful
ugly?
hair. No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Don't you dare get me in trouble with the soldiers.
Mm.
So I think she's gonna be quite good in a sense of they're not gonna get what they expect of her.
Hmm.
She's actually one of the ones I want to win, her and
Okay.
somebody else.
Okay. And she's doing a similar thing to Lisa. She's not going to tell everybody about her occupation. She's
No.
pretended to be a nail technician. Do you think? I think this is a better idea than Lisa. Like, I think Lisa being a priest could be a good thing. I agree that Leanne maybe shouldn't tell people that she's like in the military.
Oh no, I don't think she should either. Definitely
Okay.
not. No, definitely not.
Why not?
Well, when they do the physical tasks, she might wake up one day and think, oh, I'm just going to be at half-arsed today. I don't have to do this. Yeah.
That's true. I never thought about that. If she tells
Mm-hmm.
them that she is a soldier, they will expect her to like, they'll rely on her in the missions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
She can
so
take a break. She can be a nail tech. Did you notice her nails?
actually, I didn't know.
They were beautiful.
Okay. What color were they?
Like a kind of peachy, kind of normal colour, to be fair.
Okay. Could that be your lie? I'm
No,
wondering.
I think she's went in knowing that she's going to be a nail tech, so she's made them perfect for when she's in there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
no questions will be asked.
We'll see.
Hmm.
Next, we've got Kazim, who is a doctor. Someone makes a comment about him being smart, and he sort of brushes it off, which is quite interesting because later on in the
Mm.
episode, people maybe reference him being very clever. Sometimes that doesn't do well for you in this game. We've got Yin, who is a doctor of communication, and she tells us that she has a PhD in the science of persuasion.
Mm.
Um, I'm not like I say this every season on the podcast, right? I don't know these people. We're just talking about them as like characters on TV and players of a game. I don't want you to go onto anyone's social media and harass them and be horrible. I
That
found Yin
wouldn't
a bit
happen, surely.
annoying. There I
Oh,
said
so did
it.
I. So did I.
Oh, okay.
The only good thing about her was her mermaid blanket.
I noticed that, yeah. Mermaid
What I need to
blanket.
do.
I liked there was an outfit she is wearing later as well, and I think it's got butterflies on it, and I actually quite liked it.
I didn't
Um,
notice. I was just
but
thinking I need to get my crochet on so I can get some
well,
mermaid blankets.
yeah. By the time the season finishes, I would like you to have made a mermaid blanket for me to wear on the podcast. So if you could
Mm,
get on that, thank you.
okay.
Uh, yeah, I found Yen a little bit annoying. I'm sure
Yeah.
she's very nice, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Yen, if you're
I think
listening.
like she's obviously quite intelligent. She's obviously like on the ball, but I think because she's so on the ball, she's a threat. So she
Yeah.
maybe shouldn't have came out as confident.
Yeah, I think so. Jack gives us a little bit of his mullet. It's the most mullety
Oh,
mullet I've ever seen. I'm
he
not really a mullet fan, but
uh-huh.
Jack, you do you.
He looks like he belongs in Australia. He's from Australia, mate.
He does
You
look a
know?
bit Australian, actually, doesn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He says he's a Jack the Lad. Oh wait, that's not the right accent because he's from
No, he's from
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
He's from York. He's Jack the Lad. Jack the Lad. That was just
Jack
Scottish.
the lad.
I'm so sorry. He says
Jack
I'm
the
a
lad.
Yorkshire lad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Jack of all trade, master of none. Do you know what?
What?
That's what he says.
I'm a master of none.
A
I thought you
Jack.
said none, as in like priest nun, none.
No, I don't
Oh,
think he's a
that's
master
not.
of a none. I don't
Well,
think
you never
that's what he
know.
meant.
You
Who
never know.
knows?
Mhm.
Uh, So we've met a few of the players, and then suddenly, oh my God, the train stops.
Hmm.
Wondered if there was going to be a kidnapping, like on other versions from other around the world. There have been missions where the cars stop and like the players get hijacked. I thought maybe that was going to happen, or maybe they were going to do their first mission right now, but they kind of are. Then the
Mm.
train reverses, and Claudia comes on a speaker and tells them that she's giving them a £10,000 start to their prize pot, but to win it, they have to get rid of three people because there are. And it's funny, she says there are only 22 places in the game, but there are 25 passengers. And I had noticed that, like, I think 24 hours before the show aired, the BBC put on their website like a list of all the players and little
Hmm.
interviews with them, which I'm going to talk about later. And I noticed there's 25 of them, and I thought that's a lot. So yes, this makes sense that they've recruited too many people.
Hmm.
So yeah, three people have to leave, one person from each carriage, and they've got 10 minutes to decide. And for every minute that passes without a decision, £1,000 will be deducted.
Hmm.
Ha- uh, So they have to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to decide. What my tactic would be to sit in complete silence and say nothing. Like I would
Same,
just not
same.
speak. Like
Like, I'm not
someone
here.
else is going to do something or say something. I just would not get involved at this point.
Hmm.
Um, like I mean, can you, what?
I would be quiet as well. I would. You're not gonna like go through the process of all your application forms and actually getting that excited that you're there to then be so close but yet so far.
Yeah, it's well, we'll talk about what happens. It's quite strange what
Mm.
some of them decide to do.
Mm.
So Anna speaks up and says, "Well, we either need to just randomly pick somebody, or someone's going to have to sacrifice themselves." And Fawzia then sort of says the same thing. She says, "Look, someone's going to have to be the one to just give themselves up for the sake of the others."
See, when you did you notice who she was?
No,
She was in either the first or second Big Brother. Google it when we come out here because I was like, I recognize. There's two of them actually. I recognize them. I didn't get the blonde girl with the big brown eyes. I didn't get her name, but I was looking. I was like, I'm sure. And I thought it was Gogglebox at first, but it's Big Brother.
who are we talking about?
Is it Fozzie?
Fawzia? Yeah, yeah,
Fozzie,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know what the other
Um,
girl's name is.
well, I was thrown off because I'd looked at all their pictures already. I
Hmm.
think like I felt like I recognized them and I didn't really, and
Yeah.
so I couldn't tell. Okay. Dan speaks up and says he's worried that if no one decides, the decision is going to be taken from them. He sort of says like, well, if nobody says anything, what if they start taking like more than one of us? I don't know why he thinks that, but
Hmm.
I did also wonder, well, what happens if they just refuse? What if no one gets off the train, the 10-minute passes? Like, they're going to have to, they must have a plan in place.
They'll lose 10 grand.
So I wondered, oh, they just, well, they'd still have too many people then. So I'm like, well, they need to get rid of
Mm,
three people somehow. So I wondered
yeah.
if they just force them to pick randomly somehow. Like maybe they do something like, well, we're just going to pick out names from this bag, or
Lucky dip time.
yeah, Traitor's Lucky Dip, or do they just say, right, the person sitting nearest the door in each carriage, you're out? Like, do they just
Hmm.
have some way of saying, right, you're gone?
They'll have some sort of backup
So
plan.
they can't just be like, oh well. We'll just keep the train going now because none of you left.
We'll just take you
There's,
to the
we'll just
castle.
take
See
you
people are sleeping on the
there.
floor.
We'll squeeze in some extra seats at the table. Um, so 1 minute goes by. Nathan is doing a lot of talking. He wants someone to make a decision, but not himself. He doesn't want him to be. He doesn't want to stand out. And then Fawzia suddenly announces she will sacrifice herself and take one for the team. She obviously thinks she's going to have a chance to come back because she says,
Hmm.
I know this is a risk. And she says to them all, like, remember, I'm doing you all a favor. So, like,
Remember
remember
season one?
this. Yeah, she's thinking about season one.
Hmm.
Spoiler, that even though it looks like some people are being kicked out, they're going to return somehow. So she
Hmm.
reckons that's what's happening. And she wants everyone else to return the favor somehow if she
Yeah.
ends up coming back. So she leaves. The other carriages hear this announcement from Claudia saying someone has left. They all look out. Jack then thinks Jack the mullet thinks it's really
Hmm.
brave of her, and he thinks maybe like the same way. He's like, well, maybe I'll be allowed back in the game, so he leaves, and that's when he goes, "I'm a Yorkshire lad," and then I think he immediately regrets what he's done.
Oh, so does she. The minute she walked off the train, she was like, what have I done?
Yeah. Um. This is then when we see Tyler, who, well, actually, a little bit earlier, it looked like he was crying because he was so stressed about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few people crying in this episode. I don't mind when people cry, right? I'm not, doesn't bother me. And one of the, I've said this before on the podcast. I'm on lots of Facebook groups dedicated to the traitors,
Uh-huh.
and it's really fascinating to me and a little bit annoying. A lot of viewers from other countries, particularly American viewers, get really annoyed with UK traitors because they don't like all the players crying all the time. So I constantly see
Well,
see posts on Facebook like, "Why are all these British men crying?"
maybe I
And
should be American then. Why are they crying when they've literally just met these people?
well, yes, I do sort of agree with you there. Like, it's quite early to be crying at this point.
Not
Like
even the
later
crying,
on
but
in the show, if you've
it's,
been in it a while and the stakes are high, I get why people would
yeah.
be emotional.
Not that you've
But
just met the person, you're like, oh my God, please don't leave.
yeah, but I guess I don't know. They're not. I'm trying to like think of a way to defend poor Tyler. Like,
No.
I guess even though the show's just started filming, they've gone through a casting process and they've gotten really excited to get through it all and to be here and they know that there's like tens of thousands of pounds that they might win. And we hear some of them later talking about the reasons why they want to win that money. So I kind of get like by the time even though for us we've been watching it for 10 minutes, they've been in this process for like months already at this point. So I guess their
But
emotions are
surely you don't see everybody before you go into the game. That's the whole point of the game.
well, yes, although I've got a question about that I'm going to come to, so I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
Because I noticed something that threw me a little bit. So anyway, yeah, Tyler gets upset. He says he's not getting off the train. Then we meet Alexander, who's quite interesting. So Alexander is
Mhm.
a. Are you smiling because you think he's really handsome?
Well, he is really handsome, and also I was like, oh, I want him to win.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think he's going to be quite a very, well, I think he would have been, sorry, a very intriguing character. It'd be very interesting because
Yeah,
of what he
yeah,
does.
yeah. I do agree with that.
And I was quite annoyed, you know.
Yeah. That's I think he'll be a really interesting player if he comes back. So
I hope he is.
to get to the point, he also like ends up leaving the train. He tells us he's worked all over the world in conflict resolution, which reminds me of a player who was in Australia season one. This is not a spoiler. Do you remember Nigel?
Nigel, yeah,
He was English though,
yeah, I know.
and he
I
had
wanted him to
also
win, remember?
yeah. So it gave me flashbacks to lovely Nigel. Um, so Alexander or Alex speaks up to offer suggestions, and he goes, "I'm not totally against nominating myself." And once he said that, it's too late. He thought others would be like, "Yes, I will join you in this
Yeah.
endeavor," and no, it just does not. I,
Everybody's like, no,
everyone's
you're
like,
going
Okay,
then.
then." Um,
On you go.
I wonder
Bye.
if
Sorry.
I wonder if this is why he's not a diplomat anymore because he wasn't very good at it.
He was a diplomat for 10 years. He was obviously good
Mm,
at it.
okay, fine. So he leaves the train by Alex. Armani's quite happy with that, which made me laugh. She's like, bye.
Mhm.
And so yeah, they find out that all three, all the players and all the carriages find out, it's done. All three carriages have made a decision. They hear Claudia's voice. And then they look outside of the train, and Ellen, who was on a different carriage, shouts, "Oh no, Alexander." So I wondered, you said a minute ago they don't know each other. How does she know his name? That's what I was
Did,
confused about.
did they not meet at the very, very start? Like at the train station? I think they must all meet at the train station, and the way that it's filmed is they're getting picked up from random stations.
Yeah, I think they must, or even when they got on the train at different, they must all mingle and
Yeah.
like all meet each other. But even at that, I'm like, how does she remember that guy's name already? Like, she's got a good
Mm,
memory.
true.
Like 22
True.
people, 25 people. Anyway, I just thought it was strange that she knew his name already.
Yeah. Maybe she fancied
Um,
him.
maybe. She's also very beautiful. So,
She is.
good looking
Very
people
pretty.
do draw towards one another. That's like why you and me are friends. This is a silly note, but I really want to make this observation that when the three of them are standing outside the train, Jack, Fozia, and Alex, Jack is a giant. He's really tall.
Jack would be
Unless
short.
Alexander and Fozia are tiny, I made a note of the time. It's 14 minutes and 10 seconds into the episode. If you check out the three of them, he's so tall. I I couldn't help but notice. Are you
I
looking at
just
it right now?
no, I was because I
Right.
was thinking back there because I remember thinking his trousers are really short
Well, there you go. It's because
and
he's so
he's
tall.
got like white socks.
Yeah, he's a tall, tall man. Anyway, that's the most important observation I've got to make about this whole episode is that Jack is a giant. Um, so Claudia tells the remaining players on the train that they have banked £7,000. Tyler cries again. Dan's very happy, and Leanne and Anna and a few others are very stressed out about this whole thing. And
Mhm.
so, right, do you think before we arrive at the castle, are these three players coming back into the game later?
I think so. I think it's a bit shit to go through all the application form, getting there. No, I think they will. I think they will.
Yeah, that
And the
you
way
know,
that Fozzie, is it Fozzie or Fozzier?
Fuzzy, ah.
Fozzie, the way that she was talking, it makes the viewers think potentially they are going to come back. I would like to see Alexander back because I'd like him to win.
He's a bit too posh for me to want him to win.
Who do you want to win?
Someone who's not as posh as him. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry, that's prejudiced, but
it is.
um, I think I think they'll come back somehow as well. That
Mm,
last night, lots and lots of people were sending me messages on Instagram, like, are you watching? Have you seen it?" And the most common thing people were asking about is, "Do you think those three are coming back?" Uh, yeah, I like you think. I It feels weird to go through the whole process of
process.
casting these people. And like I work in TV and thousands of people applied for this show. Casting is like a big job. I can't fathom you would go to the the hassle of finding like who you think are going to be really good characters on TV. And the producers don't know who's going to volunteer to leave the train. So
Mm-hmm.
they just think we've got 25 people who could all potentially be really great reality
Mm-hmm.
TV characters, especially someone who's an ex-diplomat. Like that's a really
Yep.
interesting background. To then just 10 minutes into the episode, or 14 minutes into the episode, I should say, they leave and we never see them again. It feels like such a wasted opportunity. Not that, I mean, the thing is, it's happened on Big Brother before in the UK that people get evicted on the first night, and I guess it's not totally
I know
unreasonable,
it's the
but
first night though, but still, like they've only had what 2 or 3 minutes at airtime to even for us viewers
yeah,
to get to know them a little bit better.
yeah.
I think they will.
I think they will somehow come back,
Mm-hmm.
like in a mission, like maybe the other players will have the choice of one of them comes back,
Maybe
or
they've been kidnapped and it's like three teams, and each team has to find the person. And if
oh
they find the person, they'll come
yeah,
back.
yeah, something like that, or those three become like team leaders for a
Mm-hmm.
mission, or those three maybe
Double
come back,
traitors.
but they're on like the death row thing. Like one of those three is going to get murdered, so two of them are going to stay in the game. One's going to get that's something like that. I think they'll be back.
Mm.
Uh, so we arrive at the castle. The jeeps turn up on the big driveway. Everyone's super excited because at this
Jealous of those
point,
jeeps.
sorry.
Jealous of those jeeps. Like to be cruising around in them.
Yeah, they are very cool. So the castle is so recognizable at this point. It's very iconic. So they know what they're looking for. They get out the Jeeps. Claudia appears. This would be like my peak moment of excitement, just to see Claudia come out because I do love
Yeah.
Claudia. Um, she welcomes them. She asks them about the journey, because obviously she knows what's just happened and that they're all a bit stressed out. And she asks, "Are you thinking rather them than you?" And a few of them are like, "Yeah." She then says, "Shortly, I'm going to choose my traitors." She explains the rules of the game again, tells them that they'll have realized things are a little different this year, and that's only the
Mm.
beginning. And I'm going to go to a couple of quotes from Claudia at this point. Not like directly to me. I would love if Claudia had like directly phoned me and left me quotes or something. She There was some press released a few weeks ago, and Claudia said things like, I'm looking at my phone. What I will tell you is that things are different this year. There are some really exciting things that have changed, which keeps everyone on the toes and feeds into the central premise of trust. I can't wait for everyone to see. She also said the new contestants can watch previous series, but that doesn't mean it will necessarily help them. How can it? Every series has a whole new bunch of players with different minds and different interpretations of the game. And like any good murder mystery, the plot is always full of twists and turns. And she finishes by saying, "There's one twist this year which will hopefully have viewers on the edge of their seat." So she's
Mm.
implying there's big twists, big changes. I'm going to very cynically say they're probably not going to be that huge. Like, I don't think they're like they're not going to change the entire rules of the game. They'll do like a couple of exciting things here and there, but um, I don't know how different it's gonna be. I don't know. What do you
Mm,
think is going to be like different this season compared to other seasons?
I think it's going to be different. I think they'll want to change it up because they're on their third season. They want to keep those 5 million viewers and more
Hmm.
coming on. So I think there'll be a couple of big shocks, big twists.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but I've watched like lots of different versions. You know, if you listen to the podcast regularly, you know this. If you've never listened before, the Trader covers New Zealand and Canada and Australia, RIP, and USA. And they have different things like you can win a dagger, which means you get a double vote at a round table,
Mm.
or different rewards for missions, different ways to win a shield that's not been introduced in this season yet. It could be all sorts of things that they do. They sometimes have the traitors deciding to recruit somebody new really early on, and it's not Claudia who picks, it's them who pick, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So they enter the house, they do lots of screaming, which I found a little bit annoying.
No
Um,
doubt. The library.
I, I know, I know they're excited. I would be excited too. I wouldn't like scream running around the house. Like that's
Yes,
too
you
much.
would. You absolutely would.
No, I would be very excited. I wouldn't be like literally screaming. I would contain myself.
If me and you were there together, we would absolutely be screaming
Maybe, maybe.
and we'd
Um,
be posing in every single room.
I mean, it is my dream to get into Ardros Castle somehow. Like, it's not really open to the public unless you hire it for an event and you pay lots and lots of money. But somehow, some way, I will get into that castle.
Somehow, some way.
Anyway, yeah, they're all super excited. Francesca, she's an interior designer, so she's loving the castle. She says she loves the way Claudia's decorated it. I don't think Claudia decorated it.
Well, she didn't have to change in rooms like 40 million years ago.
I think you're thinking of Carol Smiley.
Oh, dang. I will say one thing though. Have you
Yeah.
seen the portrait of Claudia? Claudia,
Yes.
and she looks pure raging. So
Like as a
funny.
royal
She's
queen.
like,
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I want one.
mhm,
I'm gonna get one to go like behind me on the
do
other
it,
side.
do it.
Uh, maybe I could just draw one myself.
Well, you could because probably your listeners don't know, but you're actually quite the artist.
I drew this myself. I didn't really draw it myself. I did design it myself. Anyway, they that's right. Speaking of portraits, by the way, they find the portraits in the breakfast room, and I don't know if you noticed. I think the portraits, you know, all the pictures of all the players on the wall,
Hmm.
they look they look quite weird. Like they look like they've been taken with like some sort of fisheye lens.
Oh, like some sort of oil painting.
Yeah, but they're like weird, really weird. They look like caricatures or something.
Yeah,
In fact,
especially is it Casman?
yes, they've got like
Yeah.
this like insane
He
like
looks like he's
image
got a
of
really long face
yeah,
and really big teeth.
and like
Mm,
he's a very handsome man, and they've done him dirty.
yeah.
I'm just saying. In fact, also Jessica, who has been on the podcast before, Jessica works in TV. She was texting me after the show about her. We were talking about her thoughts, and one of the first things Jessica said was, "I wish they'd do proper headshots."
Mm.
So she noticed as well. There's something really weird about these pictures. Anyway,
But
not
some
that
of them look
I'm.
normal though.
Some of them are fine,
Mm.
but I did think they look unusual.
Mm.
Not. I'm not criticizing. You know, obviously, I love the show. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't want Studio Lambert to give me a job. I want that. So it's at this
Me too.
moment, it's it's time for Linda the icon. Linda is 70. She's a grandmother. She is a former opera singer, and she's decided she's going to be the fun old person. Like, I'm all over Linda. I'm in straight away. Do you know what I thought when I was watching it? Well, first of all, I thought, oh, she's like the new Diane, right, from season two. And then, no,
No,
no, okay.
Diane's an
Um,
icon.
Diane is an icon. She made me think of a relative that I've got.
I know who you're talking about.
So that I immediately I love Linda. I can't wait to see what
Was it the purple
happens.
hair or the purple
It was the
wash?
hair. It was the hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got Charlotte and Ellen talking in the kitchen, and Charlotte has decided to put on a fake Welsh accent
Oh my
because
God.
she thinks that Welsh accents are seen as like a very trustworthy accent, and her mum is Welsh, so she's copying her.
I'm going to tell
Ellen
you
is
right
actually
now,
Welsh though.
this is a stupid game plan she's got.
Oh, okay.
She's going to get caught and she's going to get kicked out because of it. It's,
Why do you think she's
that's
going
like,
to slip up and just suddenly start talking in a normal accent?
well, she did kind of like when she was talking to the other girl, she was like, "Oh well, I'm kind of losing it a wee bit." That would be like me or you going in there and talking in a Scouse accent. We're gonna like see when that woman's under pressure. There's something going on. There'll be like tasks or whatever. She's out. She's out the bag and she's gone.
Yeah, I'm worried it's not the best idea in the world,
No,
but um,
but
we'll
then
see.
again, she could be absolutely amazing and she wins the show. Who
She
knows?
could, and we've seen this in another season. Someone put on an American accent the whole season long, and they weren't American at all, but nobody else seemed to twig, so
Hmm.
they could get away with it. But yeah, Ellen might spot it because she has a sort of strong Welsh
Welsh
accent.
accent.
I can't do a
I'm
Welsh
from
accent.
Wales.
I'm from Wales. But I can't. I'm not even going to try.
I'm from Wales. That's
Um,
literally
sorry, Welsh people.
about it.
Next up, then, it is time for Traitor selection. So we've got our interviews with Claudia. She wants to know a bit more about them. Why are you doing the show? What would you do with the money? Do you want to be a traitor? Do you want to be a faithful? So the first few questions are all about what you would do with the prize money. We see Alex. Alex is Scottish by the sounds of his accent.
Hmm.
He says he wants to have kids via IVF with his partner, so that's what he'd use it for. We've got Mina wants a honeymoon and a deposit for a house.
Can I just say something?
Mhm.
Like, she got married like pre-COVID. Like, COVID happened like years ago.
Mhm.
She could have been on a honeymoon by now.
It's called the cost of living crisis, Lindsay.
Yeah, I know, but like, it was how many years ago, COVID? 4 years?
Wow, judgy.
That's 4 years of saving.
Okay,
False alibi.
okay. Oh, what? You think she's faking it to Claudia?
Yeah.
Oh, Claudia, please pick
I
me.
think she's
I'm not.
done it so she can like so she'll be remembered and Claudia will be like, oh, she really wants a nice honeymoon. Oh,
Wow,
that's
you
what I think.
are
So
very suspicious of everyone. Mina, if you're listening, I'm on your side and I believe you.
I'm not.
Uh, we- we've got Kaz. Kaz, the doctor, says that he just, he's looking for financial security. He's having to do a lot of extra shifts, not spending enough time with his daughter. So they've all got these like emotional,
Hmm.
family-based sort of reasons for wanting the prize fund, which is it's one of these things that's very different to other versions of the show. So like the US Traitors is all celebrities now, and I still, I love the show, but it's a bit harder to feel to root for like a celebrity who's probably already got quite a lot of money. Like it doesn't mean as much. So I
Yeah.
think you can care more about the people who are not celebrities having a more sort of genuine need for that money.
What would you
Anyway,
do if you won the prize?
obviously I would give you some.
Yeah.
Is that the right answer? And I would buy another cat.
Okay.
I wouldn't buy another cat. I've got too many cats.
It's a very expensive cat.
Not with all of the prize fund, just with a bit
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
I might build a catio
Hmm.
for my existing cats.
Hmm.
Be luxurious. Oh, no, I would rent out Ardross Castle and just say like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting married, and then
And
just give them the money they
steal
want
that picture.
and just spend a day there
Like,
and steal that picture. Yeah, that's what I would do. Next up, Claudia asks the players about their strategies for the game. Dan says Dan is also a scouser, I think. Dan is prepared to make completely selfish decisions. I'm going to make decisions for myself. That was my Scouse accent. It was a good
that
one.
was that was good. That was good.
Thank you. I think that's fine. We should
Mhm.
play the game selfishly. So, Dan, go ahead. Armani's also quite ruthless. She says she's competitive. She wants to win. She's got her background's in law. So she's like, maybe that's where that comes from. But yeah, I'm in it to win it. Linda, who, of course, Linda was an opera singer. So she says, yeah, like the game's like, I'm going to just play a role. I'm like playing a character, just like I would in opera. Love her. Ellen, the actual Welsh person, says that she thinks people are going to underestimate her because she's just sort of seems quite sweet and nice. Keith says he's been lying for years to his wife about enjoying her spaghetti bolognese, but now he's just said it on TV, so she's going to know.
Is that the
So,
worst lie ever?
yeah, Keith. And Claudia, even Claudia's like, no,
You
that
could
doesn't
have thought
count.
of something better. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Mm.
come on, Keith. We go back to Linda. She says she wants to be a traitor, as do Freddie, Leon, Charlotte, Mina. They all want to be traitors. A few of them say they'd rather be faithful, though. Anna,
Yeah.
Joe, and Francesca say that's what they think they would be better at. I've asked you this many times before in the podcast, but would you rather be a traitor or a faithful?
I think I'd rather be a traitor this time.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
Why?
I don't know. I think it would just be quite fun.
What, to lie
Like,
to everyone?
yeah, just go in there like a completely different person
Mm.
and just be like, hiya, what's happening? Like,
I always say that I'd rather be a traitor because I think it's easier for a traitor to win the game. I think you've got a better chance of winning statistically
hmm.
because you can't be murdered. If you're faithful, there's always the chance every single morning you could be murdered. Traitors don't have to
Hmm.
worry about that.
And it
I,
takes one person to plant a seed at
mm,
that table. And as other seasons, they're all like lambs. And they're like,
yeah,
did they just pick on that person?
yeah,
So you'd be in
um,
more control.
yeah. You've got a bit more control. Although it isn't, I think it would be really stressful being a traitor. Like the whole time you're with other people, you have to second guess everything that you say. And I played Werewolf, which is basically the game that the Traitors is kind of based on, for the very first time on New Year's Eve. It was really good fun, but I was a werewolf in one round, and is uh, it is quite stressful having to lie the whole time.
I don't think you'd be stressed. I wouldn't even be stressed.
You wouldn't be stressed.
Although, do you remember last season
Yeah,
and oh, what is his name? What's Diane's son's name?
Ross.
He says
I said it in
he's not
Diane's
gonna
accent.
he says he's not bothered about getting killed that night or something. And then they all just went on to him and he wasn't even a traitor. I think he'd be fine being a traitor.
But Ross is. I just had to say that one time on the podcast.
Well, they made him one and then got rid of him the next night, the traitors.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. So.
Yeah. So a big mix. Most of them, it seems like most of them want to be traitors, which I think is the smart thing. Unless you know you cannot handle pressure and you would be terrible at it. But then also, I think, why would you apply for this show if you
Yeah.
don't think you'd be a good liar? Anyway, Anna, Joe, Francesca, they're like, faithful, please. Armani even says that she will murder her sister if she has to. She's being brutal about it. And
Oh,
then Claudia asks Lisa, Lisa's the Reverend, remember? She asks if she's spoken to God or Jesus or whoever's in heaven about about playing the game. And Lisa says she's had a
we've
chat.
had a chat.
And she says, I'm not a priest, I'm a saint. Sorry, she's the other. No, she doesn't say that. Oh my God. She says, I'm a priest, not a saint. Imagine she said, I'm a saint, not a priest. She says, I'm a priest, not a saint. I'm a saint, not a priest. I'm Saint Lisa. Which made me laugh. I thought that was a funny line. I noticed at this point, I'm not making this up. I mean, it could be my lie, but it's not my lie.
We've already told
That
you a lie.
okay. That there, I think there's a very female focus in like the editing. I think most of the little interview
Yes.
clips we see are all women. So I was watching this with my partner Dan, and I said, "I'm sorry, Dan, if you didn't want to be named in the podcast, sorry, it's happened now." Uh, I said to him, "Oh, I think they're going to pick three women as the traitors because there's a really female focus." And I predicted Linda would be a traitor. One of the sisters, I suspected Mina, and I predicted that Leanne, the soldier with the pink, I thought they would make her a traitor. Those were my predictions before Claudia chose. I could be making that up, but I swear that is what I
Mhm.
thought was going to happen. So Claudia circles the table. They're all at the round table. They've got their blindfolds on. Round she goes. Her first choice.
I still think if you're sitting round there, the minute she's, well, although this season I did notice, she just lightly taps them,
Mm.
whereas other ones she's like held their shoulder. You're gonna hear, you're gonna get used to the speed and the pattern of the walk and the steps, right? Right?
Well,
Yeah. So I think she's just touching them and then walking off. But I think you would know who's sitting beside you.
Well,
They're walking slow down.
I know, I know what you mean, but I also actually think you wouldn't, and I've got various reasons for that. Number one,
Adrenaline.
the people who've been on the show before have talked about the filming, and Claudia does walk around the table loads of times. She does it repeatedly, so you kind of lose track of how many times she's gone and where she and I think she deliberately pauses every now and then to throw everyone
Right,
off.
okay.
Also, I think, well, if you could tell, then in all the seasons of the shows, people
Would
would
know
have
straight
found the
away.
traitors much easier. And then, like again, I was playing werewolf at a New Year's Eve party, and I thought the same thing as you. I was like, all we didn't have blindfolds. We just closed our eyes when it was time to like for the werewolves to open their eyes and murder me. And I thought, well, I'm going to hear people like moving a little bit and looking at each other
Mm,
and put. And actually, even just with your eyes closed, like, yeah, I actually genuinely didn't have a clue any time. Like, I could not hear, and I was sitting around like a dining table with people, and I could not hear a single thing. So I guess you do get away with it.
mhm.
So Mina is the first choice. She's super excited about it. The second traitor chosen is Armani, um, and she's also really excited about it. And choice three is Linda, and Linda's immediately worried about her reaction. She's like, oh, I can't breathe differently. I can't, move or make a noise, but she can't wait to have fun. So two of my predictions were right. I thought one of the sisters would be picked, and I thought Linda would be picked. So I was quite pleased with myself. And it's three women, which has not happened on a UK season before. It's not happened on any version I've seen from Australia and New Zealand and Canada and US. What do you think about them having three female traitors straight away?
I think you're right in the sense of it's very female orientated.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't think that two of them are the right choice though.
Are you about to diss Linda?
Wee bit.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, Linda probably isn't going to be very good, but I just still think
No.
she's hilarious. Why? Well, who do you think's the one that is a good choice?
Uh,
Is it
I,
Mina?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think she's going to be good, but I don't think I think is it Armani?
yeah.
Armani? No, I think she's going to shoot herself in the foot, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
Linda's
so.
going to be really forgetful. And yeah,
Yeah, are you saying that because she's an older lady and you hate old people?
no, I don't hate old people. How rude.
Okay.
No, I think that what I'm just about to say, which you're probably going to talk about anyway. So,
Is
uh,
it about Jake?
yeah.
Okay.
So, do you want to talk about that, or do you want me to go and start take over the
Um,
podcast?
well, I'll, um,
I love it.
no, you say what you noticed about Linda.
So, I didn't notice her looking over when they said when Claudia said traitors,
Hmm.
and I think the fact that Jake had cottoned onto that so quickly, like I think she's gonna slip up. I do love her, but I think she's gonna slip up.
Yeah. I did notice Linda do it straight away. Like Claudia says traitors and Linda, quickly looks at
Hmm.
her. But when I watched it for the first time, I thought, I bet she didn't really do that. I thought they've just taken a shot of her turning her head and they've edited it along with Claudia saying that. I thought, oh, bet she didn't do that. But then it turns out she did because Jake, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm surprised Jake spotted it. But I'm guessing he must have been sitting right across from her, so she was kind of naturally in
Yeah,
his
because
eye
there's
line.
like 20 other one people that he could be looking at, but he's just looked at her straight away.
Yeah, so I think he sort of got lucky by just sort of being glancing at her at that moment. And
Mm,
yeah, maybe you're right. If she did that so quickly, maybe she's going to make other silly little mistakes. I'm worried. I'm
hmm.
worried for Linda. So Claudia reminds them all of the rules, but then she reveals a twist. And this kind of is genuinely a twist for the UK version. She says that the players who make it to the final episode or the final round of the game won't reveal their identities when they leave. So in the last episode, when someone's get banished, they won't say, I'm a faithful or I'm a traitor. They'll just leave the room and walk out.
Oh, I thought it was the final that was going to happen in.
Yeah, it is the final. That's what I
All right,
mean.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. So
right,
the
okay.
most of the series will be like it always is. It's just like the final episode. You look confused.
No, I thought it was the final, but then the way you spoke about it there, it sounded like it was going to be every single episode. They'd be
Oh no,
like,
sorry, no.
bye.
Just the final.
Right, okay.
So at the very end of the game, whoever's left, it'll probably be like three, four, five people left. They'll have to just rely on their instincts. Like they'll not know if those last couple of people they banish are
Mm,
faithful or not. This has been done in other versions of the show. So they do this in Canada, and they do it in other non-English speaking versions. I I don't want to like theorize too much and get into really like boring stuff for people who've not watched other versions, but very quickly, I usually don't like it when they do this. I think it makes it easier for the traitors to win, in my opinion, because
mm,
if a traitor is left as one of those last few people, and maybe they've just accidentally banished a faithful, or they've just banished another traitor, you can kind of then as a traitor get away with it and be like, well, let's just that was I think they were definitely a traitor.
hmm.
Like if every time you
But
if
see the
everybody
last,
knows there's a traitor left and you keep banishing people and the people you keep banishing just keep going, well, I'm a faithful. The people left know there's still a traitor there for sure. But when you don't have to reveal if you're a faithful or a traitor when you get banished, the traitors that are still hidden there have got more of a chance of like just getting away with it, which I think gives the traitors a bit too much of an advantage, which they've already got in this game. That's my feeling. But I do like that Claudia's telling them this now. So in spoiler alert, in Canada, they don't tell the players this until it happens. Like right at the last round table, the host suddenly tells them, "Wait, this person you just banished isn't going to now reveal what they are."
mm,
And I think that's a bit unfair on the players. So I like that Claudia's telling them like upfront, "Here's what's going to happen." Anyway, do you have any thoughts on
mm, no.
it? Is that because I've rambled about it for a whole minute?
No, you've kind of explained my thoughts away.
Okay. So Claudia leaves them all, and they have a bit of a debrief. Again, Linda, she's loving it. She's having the time of her life. She can't wait to be a traitor. And they move off around the castle. They all start to discuss things and pair up and have little chats. We see, in fact, when they walk out of the round table room, Mina and Leanne kind of like buddy up. And Leanne, I think, says like, just tell me right now, please, can you be a faithful?" And Mina, who's the traitor, swears that she's a faithful. And I think Leanne just like buys it and it's like, oh,
That
thank
that
God.
goes back to the whole train thing. You
Mm,
don't know these people well enough to be like,
to have a
please tell
best
me you're
pal.
faithful. Because that
Yeah.
person's gonna be like, I'm a faithful. Like, who are you?
Well, you're right. I know. It's too early to like have an incredibly deep connection with someone that you're not going to lie to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Um, I guess they just get caught up in the excitement of it all, and you like quickly bond with people, and you think
Hmm.
you've got a bond with them, and you don't really have a bond with them. It's very interesting. Like it's fascinating psychologically how they
Yeah.
behave, I think. And then we get a little clip of Mina in her interview to the camera, and she says she didn't expect lying to feel this easy. So
Mm.
she's having a great time. She says she's not going to have any trouble murdering people. I already think she's going to be the best traitor
Yeah.
out of the three that have been picked because
Same.
she seems very sort of sweet and nice and easy to get on with. I just don't think anyone is going to early on suspect her.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a bit of Ellen, the real Welsh person. I'm just going to refer to her as
The
that
real
from now on,
girlfriend,
the
yeah.
real Welsh one. Ellen, the real Welsh one, talks to Freddie. Freddie's the young guy, the politics student, wants to be the first black prime minister. He's quite good looking. She says to him, "I think there will be more women traitors this year." I'm assuming she watched the show last year. Spoiler
Hmm.
alert,
Hmm.
there was only one female traitor the whole season last season. It was almost all men the whole show. So
Right.
she's watched it and she's thinking, all right, they're probably not going to. And there was even a little joke last season. Remember? Spoilers. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear this. It's not much. It's not a big spoiler. Well, kind of is. There were two or three male traitors last year, and they had a chance to recruit someone, and they recruited another man. And Claudia made a little joke to them, and she was like, "Oh, a man, like groundbreaking. Like, why do you hate like she made a joke about them never picking women or something." And that was such a funny moment that I think like Ellen's remembered that, and she's like, "Oh,
Mm.
they're not going to do that again. They're going to have women." And she's right. She doesn't know she's right, but she's right. We see Armani talking to Leanne and Maya. I think they're outside at this point, and she says this weird thing that I don't understand. She says, "Oh, I think there's a target on my back," and I don't really know why she's saying that. I don't know
Mm,
if it's because she's quite loud, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I'm being too loud," but I think she's like you said this before. She's maybe doing a bit too much too soon.
yeah.
Like she's yeah. We'll probably talk about this more as it goes on.
Hmm.
Um, Maya, who is Armani's sister, just asks her outright, "Are you a traitor?" Of course, she like just totally denies it. But Maya is already noticing that there's something different about her sister. She says she's talking differently. There's something's a bit off. So she's sus straight away, which is not a
Hmm.
good sign. Although I'm saying that. I mean, Maya obviously knows her really well, so she would notice something different. I guess everyone else wouldn't know that
The
she was
thing is,
behaving any
though,
differently. Yeah.
is she going to tell people she's a traitor?
Is who going to tell
Or
people
is she
she's a
going to,
traitor?
Maya, that her big sister's a traitor?
Oh, that she suspects her. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a really good question. Like, yeah, like do you try and protect your sister
Hmm.
or do you just play the game?
Hmm.
Based on the very little that we've seen of them so far, I think they're both in it to play the game. So I think
Yeah.
she won't have any problem saying to other people, I think my sister's a traitor. I don't know. Maybe she'll wait a while.
I think she'll wait. I think the way that they're probably thinking is one of us are going to win
Mm.
because the other one's there to back the other one up.
Yeah. Um, we this is not a spoiler, but in the Canadian season that just finished a month or two ago, there were a brother and sister pairing in it. And this is not a spoiler because you find you know this from episode one of the siblings is made a traitor and the other one isn't. And so the whole season it's a similar thing. They are kind of trying to protect one another.
Hmm.
Even the one that's a faithful, he suspects his sister's a traitor. And so but he doesn't want to banish her. He like, kind of just wants to keep her going because he knows, like, well,
She's an
at least one
ally.
of us is going to win, maybe. So anyway, so I
I wonder
think
if they've got like some sort of code. She could like write a T in her
mm,
hand or
that's
like do something. They've like maybe got code before they go in.
yeah, that is a very good suggestion. Actually, I didn't think about that. But yeah, what's to stop them from
Like
yeah
we've
before going
got
in?
codes.
We do have codes, understood. And yeah, what they could have been like before they go in. Right, if I'm a traitor, I'll uh at breakfast I'll keep scratching my ear all the time.
Yeah.
Or I don't just do a thing. Or that
Yeah.
like I'll use the word banana in a sentence out of context. And that means I'm a traitor. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they could do something like that.
It'd be quite smart to do something like that, to be honest.
Yeah, we shall see. I'm sure the producers would be really annoyed about it, but could be a smart way to play the game.
Hmm.
Um, we get a little bit of Yin next. We've spoken about Yin already. She's smart. She's got the PhD.
She's a mermaid blanket.
She's got mermaid blanket. She says that being a faithful is terrifying, which I get. Like you're constantly worried that you're going to get murdered, or that everyone's going to think you're a traitor and you're not, and you have to defend
Hmm.
yourself, and you get
Hmm.
paranoid. She says it's too early at this point to predict who the traitors are going to target, which makes sense. Like nobody, they don't really know each other yet. You don't know what everybody is thinking and feeling, and who's pals with who, and so you don't know
She's
what the
making
traitors are going to
sense.
do.
She's making sense.
She is making sense.
It's not like you're my friend. I've known you for 5 minutes. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, she's like, I'm just going to hold off on judgments. I've got no idea
Mm,
what's going to happen yet. Of course, Yin making lots of sense, but as we've talked about, ends up being quite a bad thing, maybe.
yeah. It's a
S-
downfall.
yeah. Jake is talking to Joe about the Linda reaction to the word traitors. So Jake is the one that noticed it at the round table. Joe is the English teacher with the glasses. I'm just sort of, I think I've got everybody's names already, which I'm quite impressed
Hmm.
with. Yes, Jake's talking to Joe, telling her his theory about Linda. And Jake then confronts Linda about it in front of people. They're in the library, there's lots of people sitting around, and he says, yeah, I noticed that when Claudia said the word traitors, you looked at her. It's like when somebody calls your name and your instinct is just to turn and look. And of course, Linda's like, no, no, I didn't do that. I was just, Claudia was talking, so I was just listening. That's just what I do when people are speaking. I look right at
I think
them.
that's a valid point though,
Yeah.
because that generation and even to our generation, if somebody talks to you, you look at them,
hmm
you acknowledge that you're speaking to them. So,
So you hate old people and you hate Gen Z.
oh my
Is that what you're
God.
saying? You hate
So I'm
everyone.
just gonna eat my Smarties on camera.
Okay. You hate your Smarties and hate all the young people. So
I don't hate young people.
you think young people are rude and they don't look at people when they're getting spoken to? Is that what you're
Stop trying
saying?
to get me hate. At the start of this, you were like, no hate. Do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Best friend comes on, all the hate.
Yes, no, you're right. I think it's quite a reasonable defense to be like, no, like she was talking and explaining the game, so like I wanted to hear what she was going to say. And she even says, "Don't worry, I'm a faithful." But Jake's not convinced. Jake's still in his interview like, I've still got my eye on Linda, so I'm
Mhm.
worried about Linda. All the players are generally sort of worried about surviving the night, and then the clock strikes midnight. Off they go to their lodgings and their jeeps that you're jealous of.
So beautiful.
It's
If
time
you'd playing Brittany
for
to that, you'd be like, "Ooh."
it's time for the traitors to meet. Now that everyone's gone off to bed, they meet Claudia. They take their oaths. It's all very over the top and dramatic and camp, and I love it. Uh, Linda and Mina arrive in Traitor's Tower first. They take off their hoods. They've got a brilliant reaction. Mina can't stop laughing. She says she's really shocked that it's Linda. So they've fooled one another so far.
Mhm.
They're both really surprised. And then it's time for Armani to arrive. So Linda and Mina put their heads down. Armani comes in with her hood up. And I always think this when I'm watching these first episodes. It must be so carefully choreographed. Like they've kind of only got one chance to film this and get their genuine reactions. So they
They should
must
have
have
all kept
to.
their hood up though,
I
for them
know,
all to be
yeah,
in the room. That was
I
a bit
did wonder
annoying.
that. Why don't they just say, right, put your hoods back up? It's
Hmm.
funny. Yeah, it'd be a bit more like secure.
Dramatic. I was
So
actually
yeah.
going to say as well, sorry. I don't know if it's during this bit or if it was near the front, but there was like really creepy Jason music playing
Oh,
at the
okay.
start. You know how the music's normally quite good and it's quite calming. It's like covers of other songs.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if it was in Traitor Tower that it was the Jason music playing because I remember thinking that's quite creepy.
Yeah, yeah, they do have lots of sort of horror-y, quite intense
Sounds.
music at various points,
Mm-hmm.
but I love it. I'm here for it.
Same.
So yeah, Armani arrives again, takes the hood down. They're all shocked, and they realize immediately, oh, it's a female trio. It is three women. And then Linda says, "I'm the oldest traitor ever," and I wonder how she knows that.
Oh, she's 70.
How does she know there's not been an older traitor in another series?
She must have watched them all,
All of them,
potentially.
even like Traitors Botswana. That doesn't exist. I made that
No,
up.
I know it doesn't exist. She's probably watched them all and she's thought, oh, I'm going to apply for this. But just
Or
because she's 70 years old and older traitor doesn't mean she's not going to do well.
I didn't say that.
Well, you implied it.
I didn't say that. I
Mm-hmm.
just thought it was an interesting comment for her to say, I'm the oldest traitor ever. I'm guessing she means in the UK traitors. I mean, there's only been two seasons so far. I wonder if the producers said to her, like, after she got chosen, like, by the way, you're the oldest traitor ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like mention it or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm overthinking too much. Mina immediately is a bit worried about Armani because she's like, well, wait a minute, Armani's here with her sister, so she's already got a little alliance. She's got a little team. I don't think the only team I want to be in is the Traitors, so I'm worried about her. So I thought that was quite clever of her to be worried about Armani straight away.
Yes. Well,
They,
you know, in the past, they've like backstabbed each other
well, yeah,
and stuff. So,
yeah. No, I'm just going to say I'm not going to spoil anything. Okay, I was tempted to say too much. I won't. I'll hold
sure.
back. So, they've got to talk about the first murder straight away. So they go through some options. They've got Jake because Jake already suspects Linda, but Linda says, "Well, no, because that's going to be too obvious. Like if we murder him, then people are going to be like, Linda, that was clearly you."
See,
So
that's
they're like,
clever.
"Yeah, yeah."
That's clever.
So and there's still there's still 22 players. So they've got plenty to choose from. So they're like, "No, let's just leave Jake. That will be too sus." So their main three options end up being Nathan, Yin, and Kaz. For Nathan, Linda says, well, on the train, he was like so willing to just lose all that money. He was saying we should just refuse to leave. So they don't really like that. They
Mm.
want players that are going to like build up the prize pot.
Yep.
They talk about Yin. Armani suggests she's too intellectual and she isn't on anyone's radar. She doesn't say radar, she says radar, but close enough. So yeah, they don't And in this game, there's no point in keeping people who no one suspect. Like you want to keep people who other people are suspicious of because they might get
Mm-hmm.
banished before you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, no one thinks Ian's a traitor. Get out. Which actually later in the episode turns out to not be the case. But anyway, they talk about Kaz and they say similarly, like he's very smart, he's very observant. We don't want smart, observant people. We want dum-dums.
We want sheep.
Yeah. I know we don't see who they choose. Obviously, they keep it a bit of a secret, so it's a surprise for us as viewers. We just hear them saying they think they've chosen someone who could be a potential problem for them in the game. They write the name down, they hand it to Claudia. Again, it's very dramatic. I love it. And we move straight to breakfast. So they're packing a lot into this first episode, which
Mm-hmm.
is good for like new viewers. Like, they've got to try and hook you straight away by showing you all the stuff that's going to happen in the show.
Although you're
Yes.
probably thinking, Lindsay, you're jumping ahead again.
No.
They didn't do a task.
Yes.
So they have breakfast and then what do they do? Just cut about the castle until like nighttime.
Pretty much. Yeah. I've got a theory about why there's no mission, but I'll come to it. But you're right. There's no challenge this episode, which is
Yeah.
unusual. Yeah, I guess they just spend time getting to know one another so that they've got
Mm,
something to go off at round table tonight.
yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, maybe they just spend the day finding their way around, learning the castle, learning each other's names,
But they don't
doing
even like
icebreakers.
sleep in the castle.
They what?
They don't even sleep in the castle.
Yeah, I know.
So why would you learn the way around the castle?
Just because they spend the day there and they have fun.
Okay.
Maybe they play like hide and seek and stuff.
Mm,
Maybe
blind
they
man's
find
buff.
secret blind man's buff, secret passageways.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe they like hang out with Claudia and get to know her and
Because she
no,
does have favourites of every season.
well, she does. It's time for breakfast. Leanne she's one of the first to arrive. She's buzzing to be alive. We've got Lisa. She says that Nathan is the person that she's gotten to know the least. So if anyone, maybe that's who she's suspicious of right now. And Leanne also says, yeah, I noticed him on the train. He was very observant and quiet. He was watching everybody. More and more people arrive, including Armani. And so she's a traitor. She's very quickly upset because she's worrying about her sister. And at first, I thought, oh, she's doing a bit too much. She needs to calm down. But I did change my mind about that, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Okay.
There's more knocks. There's arrivals. They're clapping every time a new group comes in. Linda says she's feeling very powerful after committing the first murder, and her plan today is just to sit back and listen, which is a good idea, I think, to
Mm-hmm.
just sit back, but maybe not if it's too different to the way you were yesterday. Like if everyone notices you're behaving differently, that's not good. But I think in general, it's a good idea to just sit back and
Yeah.
not be like a loud character in this game. Joe, the English teacher, is being very calm, and he says this thing that I don't get, right? Maybe I've misheard it, although I have watched it twice. He says he's really excited to be back at breakfast, and he doesn't understand why some of the other players are nervous. He says, "I don't get them. Why are they acting so nervous? Like they've survived the night, so
Hmm.
aren't they happy?" But like, I get why you'd be nervous at every moment. Like you don't know who's going to come through the door.
I
Is it?
think I'd be pretty nervous.
Yeah, I think I'd be like on edge
Because you're in
most
a
of the
room with
time.
loads of strangers.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I'd be quite nervous.
yeah. I was confused by him being confused. Like, why are these people
Mm.
nervous? But he says something later that seems to contradict that, which confused me. But anyway, so Armani is getting more and more stressed, and she's actually starts crying. And Linda says, I think she needs to bring it down a bit. But then Linda does this hilarious. She says this line, and it made me laugh so much. She goes, "Oh my God, who the hell's not gonna come back?" And it's just like so over the top acting. I just loved it so much. I
Mm,
hope she's going to deliver lots of classic lines.
I think she
Uh,
will.
Maya then does arrive. So Armani real. I mean, obviously, this thing is like Armani knows that she's going to come back because Armani's a traitor. But Maya does arrive, and Maya cries as well. And I thought,
Mm.
well, at least both of them are crying. So
Or
it
is it
doesn't.
code?
It's code. Maybe it's a code. Maybe that's their code. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, right, if one of us is a traitor, we'll cry. We'll both cry in the morning.
I don't understand how you can just start crying because it was like proper tears. It
Yeah,
wasn't even just like eyes watering. How you could just cry knowing that you know who's going to come through.
I know. I know. I guess it is just you feed off everybody else's energy, and
Mm,
it's still exciting, or it's maybe you know who's not going to come back,
yeah.
but you feel guilty. You're like, oh God, when they all find out, they're all going to be upset, and I've made that happen. So I can get that you can be sad because you feel guilty.
No, I think it's code.
Oh, okay, it's code. Um, so they both do their codes and they cry, and then I thought, well, that makes Armani look less over the top because at least her sister's also crying. So people will be like, oh well, maybe both of them are just like that. So maybe it doesn't make her stand out so much.
Maybe they're just happy that, that each other are still here.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
Mm.
you think it's not a code now?
No, I think it's code.
Oh, okay,
I think
right.
other people are going to think, oh, they're crying.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
they're
yeah,
happy
yeah,
that others, but they in the inside you're like, ha 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 ha.
yeah.
Got your number,
Yeah,
your
okay.
card.
Kaz, Yin, and Nathan are the last three left to arrive, which is, and those are the three people that the traitors were discussing murdering, so that makes sense. So I just want to say at this point, and again, I had a couple of messages about this. They're the producers are sort of structuring the game in the same way as they've done previously. Like they're making sure that the last people to arrive at breakfast are the faithfuls who were potentially going to get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they'll keep doing that for the whole show
No.
because the players, if they've watched the show before, they'll catch on to that. So they'll know, oh, well, the last person to walk in every day is a faithful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll mix it up. And sometimes actually they'll let a traitor come in last and stuff like that. That's my theory. In the end, Kaz knocks on the door, walks in, he survived, and Nathan is behind him, and that means that Yin is gone. She's been murdered. And we get a little flashback. We see Yin receiving her letter. She she
She was devastated.
she was devastated, but I, I would be devastated if I got murdered. The first person, I would be gutted. In fact, I'd be really angry about it. And she said she's got this little speech. She had a whole narrative planned. She thought this was chapter one, but actually it's the end of her story. And then she keeps going with like some metaphors, and she compares herself to a mayfly or a lunar moth.
And then
That
did you
is,
see the screen brightening up?
I mean, I did sort of think like, calm down, Yin. Like, you're not really a lunar moth. I mean, I'm not going to be. Yeah, I'm sorry, Yin. Don't watch this next part, but I don't think anyone's really going to remember her after like one day. There, I said it. I don't think anyone cares that much.
Do you think we'll remember more about the mermaid blanket?
I think so.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Tomorrow one of the players is gonna be like, "Oh, she's got that blanket. Can I get it?" I don't know.
Like, oh no, Lindsay's got it.
Do you think it's really Yin's blanket, or do you think it was in the hotel and the production have gone like, "Oh, wear this mermaid blanket"?
No, because somebody else had a mermaid blanket last year.
Okay. Oh wait, so you
Uh,
think it's just in the hotel?
yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
oh, who was it? Oh, I can't even remember. It was a girl with blonde hair.
Molly,
No.
Charlotte, Eve. That's terrible. Eve or Eva, Evie. It was a
I
Scottish
can't
lady.
mind. I can't
I don't know.
mind. Remember
I
on past episodes there was somebody in the shower and we were like, what are they doing that?
yeah.
Because they filmed me in the room and we were like, why is he having a shower?
I think that may happen a lot more this season. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Uh, so Yen's gone. Bye, Yen. Back to breakfast.
Ah, yeah.
Dan, Dan the Scouser, he's at the very end of
Scalcy.
the table. He sort of recognizes she stood out a bit too much for being different. So he's like realizes, yeah, I get why she's gone. She was really smart. She had theories that seemed quite clever. No wonder she's gone. And a few other players also mentioned, yeah, she seemed quite clever. She was in the library reading books.
Mm,
Um, Dan then does this thing. So they're talking about Yen's gone, and Anna comes over and suddenly sits beside Dan and like says,
yeah.
"Oh, poor Yen, isn't that sad?" And then disappears again. And Dan finds that very strange, and he turns to Linda and he's like, "100% traitor." why did she come over here? And it's really funny because she's
Because
not a
Linda's like,
traitor.
oh yes.
And Linda's like, yeah. Oh, did she? And it's just so funny. Well, first of all, it was a bit weird that Anna did that. But secondly, it's
Mm,
just so funny in this show. Anytime a player is convinced of something that's so wrong, and Dan's like, yep, traitor, got it. And we're like, Dan, no,
yeah,
no, hun, you don't know that.
yeah. Sit back
Uh,
down.
it's what made me laugh. Claudia arrives at breakfast. She invites Tyler, big tall Tyler, to come and carry out the tradition of removing a murdered portrait from the
I
wall,
know, it's
chucking it on the
brutal.
floor.
It's so brutal every time.
I love it. It's amazing. I actually wanted her to like follow up on Yin's metaphor of the moth being attracted to flame and throw it in the fire and just like burn it.
Mm.
Like buy Yin.
It's really harsh. You hate Ian.
I don't hate Yin at all. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Um, Claudia, if I was producing the show, that's what I'd do. I'd be
Mm.
like, Claudia, throw it in the fire. Um, Claudia tells them that there's no mission today, like you said, but there will be a round table. So yeah, this I don't. I think usually in the first episode it is a mission. I
Hmm.
think it didn't happen this time because of the train fiasco, the train thing. That took up like too much. You know, when the train stopped, three people get off the train.
Hmm.
That was kind of like that took up too much time. They couldn't
Oh,
fit
do
a
you mean
mission
like
in.
airtime? Right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. Just too much
Yeah.
airtime. They can't fit all that in one episode. So the train thing's like in place of a mission for this episode. That's what I guess.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, off they go, I guess, and hang out around the castle for the day. And Dan's
Sure.
before we move on to the next scene, Dan says I'm feeling quite salty now. Salt. That was a terrible accent. I'm sorry,
I'm
Scouse
feeling
people. So
quite
sorry.
salty.
I feel dead salty. He didn't say it like that.
No.
And Linda is like, good, we're gonna do it. And I just love her. Just everything about her. So it's time for some like more discussions around about the house before the round table. We've got Joe. Joe says he thought Yen could be a traitor. And he's like, so now don't trust me because I don't know what I'm talking about. And I just thought that was quite funny that he said, "Oh, I
Mm.
thought she could be," because one of the traitor's reasons for killing her was that they thought no one would suspect her, but Joe actually did. So the traitors were maybe a bit wrong there.
Hmm.
Jake is still on the Linda train. He's like, no, no, she did that weird thing. I've got my eye on you, Linda. Armani asks Maya about her strategy, and she says, well, she's going to get to know everyone. She's going to go around, talk to everybody, and currently she's a bit sus of Ellen, the real Welsh person.
Hmm.
Armani then immediately tells Ellen this. She's like, "Oh, someone said your name,"
Yeah.
and Maya's like livid. She's like, "What is my sister doing? Why is she landing me
Mm.
in it like that?" As you would be. Um, Again, do you think Armani is like doing too much and needs to stop?
110 million%.
Yeah. She even keeps it going and like then goes to another group and announces to them. She's like, "Guys, I just want to keep you in the loop and just tell you everything that I know." And then
Mm.
she's just telling them all this stuff. Like she needs to stop.
They're
It's
gonna
too
suspect
much.
her.
Yeah, she.
I think
I,
by episode 3, 4, they'll know.
I think in this game, loud people just don't do it. Like you need to just be quiet.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe not like silent because that also looks suspicious, but you need
Don't
to
run
just
from
blend
group to
in.
group. Because somebody from
Yeah.
that group's gonna talk to the other group and they're gonna be like, what's she playing up?
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh, why did she come over here and do that?"
Hmm.
Um, yeah, she tells this second group that she might suspect Kaz because he's too calm and collected. Kaz is the doctor. Um, and Mina actually then just says what I was saying a minute ago. Mina, I think this is in her interview, she recognizes like big characters in this game draw attention, and that's maybe not a good thing. We've got Leanne, Joe, and Ellen, and they're talking about Jake and his Linda theory. So that's clearly going to continue to be like a talking point if
Hmm.
everybody's going on about it and they're showing us it in the episode. It's time for the round table, and like always, we get like slow motion shots of them. Do you like? I'm wearing. Like, by the way, listeners, Lindsay actually bought me this Traitor's cloak.
I did.
I just became very aware of it because I was like, sort of like,
I can't move, I'm restricted.
and also was like sort of dramatically throwing it back, like I was Maleficent and Snow and Sleeping Beauty. Is that no? Is it the Queen and Snow White? There's that
Uh,
GIF. There's a GIF of like the Disney Queen, and she's like throwing her. I think it's Snow White.
Isn't
This
it
is so
Sleeping
irrelevant.
Beauty?
I'm so
It's
sorry.
Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, like Maleficent's and Sleeping Beauty, but I think
Uh-huh.
anyway, right, okay. I look like a Disney queen, is what I'm trying to say. So, yes, everyone walks into the round table. We've got some little interview clips. Armani thinks that she can lie to herself and convince herself that she's a faithful, and so she'll be able to convince everyone else. Mina's quite nervous to see what's going to happen, who's going to get banished. Doesn't think anyone suspects her. And Jake is like, Linda, here I come.
I'm on the Linda train.
He's on the Linda train.
Linda
So,
train.
train. So Claudia does her little speech and she winds them all up and gets them all like jazzed and excited and really tense. And she asks if they're going to follow the herd or if they're going to speak up.
Guess who speaks first?
Well, it's Armani. She,
Mm,
I don't know how much silence there is. Like maybe it was excruciating and no one was speaking, but she's like, well, I'll begin because no one else is going to do it. Maybe she shouldn't have done that. I don't
because I waited that whole 2 seconds.
know.
Well, Claudia literally probably just finished the sentence, and she was like, "Right, this is what's happening, guys. On."
She talks about laying everything out on the table, literally and metaphorically, so that, like, she's like, everyone just say what you think so we can all make the best decision. Freddie starts after that. He confronts Ellen. I don't really know why. He says, oh, you made this weird comment. You said that the traitors are probably women. And Ellen replies and says, well, yeah, I just
Yeah.
thought there were lots of strange, like, strong women players, and I've tried to speak to everybody, but actually now I don't have any idea. But yeah, I don't, I just don't know why that was a bad thing that she said that. And Freddie's like, that was strange you said that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know why it was a bad thing.
I think he's just trying to jump on the bandwagon and look as if though he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, like pick something that someone
Hmm.
said, and yeah,
Go with it.
yeah. Jake brings up his Linda theory. Again, Linda just sort of denies it with the same reasoning. When someone's talking, I just turn and look at them. And Jake's saying, well, it wasn't. He gets even more specific, and he says, well, it's not that you turned to look at her. It's when she said the word traitor specifically, that word made you turn and look.
Hmm.
But Linda's like, no, that's not the case. It's just like I just unconsciously turned and looked. But then she comes back at him, and she's like, well, the fact that you're coming at me makes me suspicious of you. Like, are you just trying to deflect?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like an
Smart
okay
move.
tactic. I'm
Yep.
like, okay, I guess yeah, you could use it to your advantage. Like, that would be quite good if that worked. And everyone else was like, yeah, Jake, why are you coming at Linda so much?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if no one else noticed the Linda thing. They might be like, Jake, why do you keep going on about this?
Yeah.
Armani speaks again, and she looks at Lisa, and she does this thing, right? She says, so Lisa's the Reverend. She says,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, you you could be a traitor because I think you would make a great traitor.
Does she not start off by saying an older woman would make a
Yeah,
great
yeah, yeah,
traitor?
yeah.
And then, like, I was like, are you actually shitting me? It's like the first round table, and you're already trying to like dob somebody on it. And then you can see Linda's face, and you can see the other traitor's face.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think who's the other traitor?
Mina.
Mina. I think Mina now knows she's one to watch out for. Because now you
Yeah.
know at the end, if the two of them get to the end, she's gonna steal it all. So I mean,
Yeah.
she on the ball.
Um yeah, I think so. I think yeah, Mina's already like
But
what's
it was
going
like
yeah.
quite a lot of tension.
Yeah. And Lisa then defends herself by saying, I'm a faithful with God as my witness, which is quite funny because she's a reverend, but they don't know that. Um,
Oh,
but
it's a
that makes me think
compassionate.
like it would help if she just said, if they knew she was a reverend, that would make them go, oh God, like she's definitely a faithful, like she wouldn't say that. But then the traitors might just murder you if they're like, oh, she's such an obvious faithful, get rid of her. I don't know.
Oh, mm,
Um, Joe talks next. He says that Alex and Leon were way too chill at Brett. So yeah, this is the thing I was confused about. Earlier on, he said they look too nervous. Why are they so nervous?
mhm,
But now he says you look too chill and relaxed. Why be so chill and relaxed? So I was confused about
mm,
Joe. I don't know. I thought he was sort of mixing things up a bit and
yeah,
like contradicting himself.
yeah.
Um, Charlotte speaks up. She says something that she just shouldn't have said. I don't know why she says this. She should just not said anything. She's talking about when the traitors were picked, and she says, "Well, as soon as I knew that we opened our eyes and I hadn't been chosen. I was so relieved. I felt like I could relax. And then everyone picks up on it and they're like, why were you relaxed? Like, we're not
That's her
relaxed.
classic Ross moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she's like, no, 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 I'm nervous. I was nervous all night and I've been crying and I was so I think she realizes like, oh God, I should not have said that,
Hmm.
which was a bit silly. Then Nathan speaks up. Nathan comes for Linda and he's like, oh Nathan, the way I'm talking right now is if Nathan's done a bad thing, and I'll explain why I think it's a bad thing. Nathan comes for Linda, and he says, your body language after the traitors were selected, I noticed that you looked worried or panicked or different. He says, you looked like someone who'd been chosen as a traitor, but you didn't really want to be a traitor. I could tell that from looking at you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's right. We know that he's right. But
Yeah.
that's like, so it's quite impressive that he noticed that. But I think there's two problems, in my opinion. First of all, it's the first time he's mentioned it. So Dan then says, "Why have you never said this before now? It's weird that you haven't mentioned it before the round table."
Mm.
And Kaz too goes, "Yeah, I'm Nathan. I really like you, but what you just said was weird. Why have you not mentioned that before now?" Also, I think in this game, if you want to do really well, you actually don't really want to get rid of the traitors. What you should
Yeah.
do is figure out who you think they are and keep it to yourself and go
Mm-hmm.
really far with them. And
Mm-hmm.
later in the game, start when it's time, start getting rid of them. So if Nathan really thinks that about Linda, he probably just shouldn't say anything. He should just
Yeah.
keep it to himself. Anyway,
Yeah.
Freddie jumps on Nathan too, and he says that Nathan, you're calm and collected. It's this thing that people keep accusing each other of. They're like, you would be a great traitor. You seem really calm. You seem like you're in control. This phrase, you would make a great traitor. I'm going to talk about that more in the next episode of the podcast because I've got a lot of thoughts on that phrase. It's this thing that people say a lot on the show. You'd be a great traitor, and it
Mm.
bothers me. But I'm not going to talk about it just now. Leanne speaks next. Leanne, Pink Soldier. She says, Linda, yeah, actually, you were really chatty on the train, but now suddenly you seem very different. You're so much quieter. And Linda's like, well, I've said my piece. Jake accused me. I defended myself. I don't want to keep talking, which I think is fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think it becomes clear, like it's time to vote now, and it becomes clear to me anyway, right? Linda's probably going to get some votes. Nathan's probably going to get some votes. Like they've got
Yeah.
the most heat on them. And Linda's really anxious now. She's worried that she's going to go on the first round table. They're writing down their votes. Claudia asks if they've all locked in their answers and says, Nathan, we're going to start with you. And that's where episode one ends. So we have ended on a cliffhanger, which is sort of quite a classic thing to do. Did you think we were going to like see some of the votes now?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I was like, are you actually kidding me right now? But luckily, episode two was on straight after. But I didn't watch it.
okay,
I didn't want to know if anything got released
yeah,
that would spoil this episode.
okay. I did the opposite, and I did watch episode two. I knew they would end with a cliffhanger, but like I thought we would see some votes. I thought they'd show us like a few votes, and maybe we'd get to like
Mm.
a tie, and then they do a cliff. But we don't see any votes at all, which is fine as well. Like it's still exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I suddenly realized at the end of the episode that you could watch episode two straight away on BBC iPlayer. So I did watch the second episode. So I know what happens. I'm obviously not going to spoil it for you. Um, what do you predict is going to happen? Who do you think is going to get banished?
I think Linda.
Okay, why do you think Linda?
Because I think they're all like sheep when they get in there. Like they all kind of
Hmm.
lose their sense of self. And I think that they all kind of just jump on the bandwagon.
Okay,
Like I hope she doesn't,
okay,
but I think she might.
okay,
If not, it's her, it's some other random person,
right,
not Nathan.
okay. Who? This is very early. We've watched one single episode, but you
Leanne.
did say this. Who do you think might win?
Leanne.
Okay, why?
I don't know. I just think she's cool.
Do you think she's going to win as a faithful, or do you think she's going to get recruited and become a traitor?
I think she's going to win as a faithful.
Okay. Anyone else that you would put with her?
Nobody's really standing out so far.
Okay.
I do kind of like Maya, but it's putting me off that her sister's in there
Hmm.
because I feel like she's not going to be her true self.
Okay.
I feel, but as of now, no, just Leanne
Okay.
and Alexander, R.I.P.
Yeah, Alexander. Well, RIP for now. I feel he will return.
I think it will.
Now, we've been talking lots about our thoughts, Lindsay, you and I, on the show. However, we have had a voice message from Harriet, literally while we're recording. Let's hear what Harriet has to ask about this first episode.
Hi traders, Happy New Year. Harriet here. Super excited to start New Year's with some traitors. What did you guys think of the traitors' first move? Personally, I thought it was a little bit silly. Yin is exactly the kind of person the faithfuls would get rid of first. They should have got rid of a charismatic leader type first. Anyway, let me know. Bye.
So, did the traitors make a bad move for their first murder in getting rid of Yin? Should they, like Harriet suggests, gotten rid of a charismatic leader type quite early on? What are your thoughts? We've talked a little bit about our thoughts on Yin, but what do you think of Harriet's suggestion?
I think that would have been better than to get rid of Yin, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
think we would have got a lot of good TV time off of Yin.
Yeah, I do too, actually. Yeah,
Hmm.
she was quite interesting. So it's a shame, yeah, to lose her as a reality character on TV. I think Harriet's right, actually. I think you ought to. Yen, although Yen was quite clever, um, well, at least one person did suspect her of being a traitor, and that was Joe,
Hmm.
which he told us. I think he actually, generally, Yen was probably quite quiet. So it's actually a good idea, I think, to keep around quiet people um, as the game goes on and get rid of them later if you have to. Um, well, I'm going to now contradict myself a little bit. I agree with Harry that to get rid of a strong person first is probably a good idea because you don't really want like ringleaders. You don't want people who are really persuasive. And I know Yen said
Yeah,
that she was like a studied persuasion. If you end up with like really strong characters who are like natural leaders and everyone follows what they say, as a traitor, that could be really bad for you. Like you want to be the one that's doing all the persuading. Like you want to manipulate people. You don't want someone else who's really good at that. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a good idea to find those strong natural leaders and get rid of them early. So you're left with just sort of like middle people or
yeah.
quiet people. On the other hand, having quite strong natural leaders could be good to keep around because quite often we see them become really like a bit like Armani's doing. Like actually being quite loud and outspoken can really not do you any favors sometimes. So
So they're going to get voted out anyway.
yeah, sometimes the big loud leaders are great targets for banishment because they draw so much attention to themselves. So that didn't really answer your question, Harriet, because I just sort of said yes and no. But I do like that thought. So thank you so much, Harriet.
Thank you.
Lindsay, and well, listeners, I hope you're not forgotten. Lindsay and I have been playing a deceptive game this entire time. We've been playing the Traitor and trying to lie to one another. We haven't finished yet. Before we reveal what our lies were, Lindsay, can you tell us, first of all, where can we find you online if people want to follow you?
I am on Instagram, and my tag is at Chisarella.
Okay,
Give me a follow, and I will follow.
I'll tag you as well in the episode description. As for the podcast itself, if you've enjoyed, you could do me a huge favor and subscribe or leave a lovely review on whatever platform you're using, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, YouTube, Deezer. Apparently, people are listening on Deezer still, wherever. And you can follow on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. And if you are listening, that's fantastic. You might also want to watch the podcast because, as I've mentioned, we're visual now. Maybe the sound of the
Yay.
Lindsay and I's voices aren't enough, and you want to see us. So you can do that on YouTube and you can do it on Spotify. You can also leave comments on those platforms. You can even email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com. Or you could do what Harriet did and what Louise did and what Scott did by leaving a voice message at memo.fm/the Finally, well, sort of penultimately, before Lindsay and I reveal our lies, you could do one extra thing. You could be like Paddy. Paddy is a listener to the podcast. Hi, Paddy. You could maybe if you're feeling very generous and the Christmas spirit is still lingering with you even in January, you might want to help with the running cost of the podcast. If you feel like it, if you can manage it, Paddy just donated to the podcast coffee.com page. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. Thanks, Paddy. It can just be a one-off donation. It's not a subscription or anything like that. And you can pick how much you want to donate. It can be maybe like £1 or something. Because this banner and this mug and this mic cover and this Zoom subscription and all these ring lights and cameras and things cost me money. So it'd be nice to keep the podcast going and not be in debt. So if you wanted to visit, that would be lovely. Now, it's time for the Traitor reveal. Have you lied to
Yep.
me?
Yep.
Okay, I lied to you as well.
Yep.
I actually tried to lie more than once, but I didn't. I just lied one time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you know what I lied about?
Yeah.
I have got one. I actually don't know what you lied about.
Yeah.
I've got one. No, can you go first? Because I need time to think. What do you think I lied about?
I think you lied about the number of viewers.
Okay.
I think there was more.
That was. Is that your guess? Is that your
Yep.
final guess?
Yep.
You think that there was not 5.1 million viewers?
No, I thought there was more.
That is not a lie. That was the absolute truth. There were
Okay.
5.1 million viewers, according to more than one
Wow.
source. That was the figures. So,
Yeah.
Soz, I did lie about something else though. Do you want to know what I lied about?
Yeah.
I lied when we were talking about Charlotte, who is doing the fake Welsh accent.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, well, in another season, someone put on a fake American accent the whole season and got away with
I
it.
thought that. I was like, who is he talking about?
I made that up.
Sneaky.
So,
Sneaky.
yeah, I am a good liar and I deceived you and I'm a good traitor.
Okay.
I should have just done this the whole time.
No, you shouldn't.
Okay, let's get on. Right, Lindsay, what did you lie about? You lied. You used. This isn't. You lied when you said. I'm right. I actually don't know. I didn't even write anything. Usually I write down loads of things. I actually don't know. You're gonna have to. I failed already. I've lost the mission. What did you lie about? I give in. Wait, you lied that your name is Lindsay and that all this time your name's not Lindsay. You started the
Did you
game 20 years
know?
ago.
How did you know? I'm the producer. I lied about Fozia being on Big Brother.
You
And you
know,
actually said, I recognised her face too.
I said I recognise a few of them because I thought I had fooled it. I kind of did think that could be your lie. Then I thought,
No,
no,
you
I think
never.
Lindsay's just got this wrong and didn't act to I thought you just were mistaken and didn't actually lie about that deliberately. So I was like, oh,
Well,
she's just not. Just isn't right.
and all the times I've been on, I've actually only lied twice because I keep forgetting.
You do keep
And the last
forgetting.
two have been good ones.
So I'm very glad that for our first video podcast, you didn't forget to play the game. Well, sort of well done because you lied, but also not well done because you didn't catch my lie. I think it's a draw.
Whatevs.
Lindsay, thank you very much for joining me again on the
You are
Trader.
welcome.
Much requested from the listeners, by the way.
I'll
So
happily come back, even though this time I tried to keep as quiet as possible because I normally get told off.
you were very quiet this time and you didn't
Yeah.
eat
And I
lots of
just,
sweets during it and make me
well,
have to tell you to stop it.
I've got 2 Smarties left and I managed to sneak in 2 drinks.
Well done. Cheers to the podcast or episode 1 new
You
series.
can't
Oh,
even see mine.
it's blurred out because that's product placement and that's bad. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, listeners. Keep us on your radar. Bye.